What's up? Today, I'm going to show you how to use loops. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to hop into Rekordbox. I'm going to show you guys all the looping techniques I use, as well as some that I've learned over the years. So, get your pen and paper out, get ready to take some notes. And if you learned something, make sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. It really helps us out over here. I greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get into it. All right, so my first tip when it comes to using loops is to make your own intro edits with loops. What this means is that sometimes there's a track you might be using that doesn't have a perfect 8-bar, 16-bar intro. So you have to make your own. So what I would do is I would go to, let's use this track for example here. It just has this hi-hat going before the track starts. So what I would do is I would go back to the one here. I actually have a loop set already on that. But if I'm in a DJ software, right, let's take this off, do that. What I would do here is you just set it to 4. And then you would then play the loop. And then you would just keep counting with it. So let's say you're going for an 8 count. And then this would be your last time through. So I used to use this a lot back in the day when I didn't have access to record pools and things of that nature, and I didn't really know about them. I used to have all of my tracks have their own intro loop to them and their own preset version so that I would be able to have intro edits. But once I joined Heavy Hits, that really changed everything for me and it opened up a whole new world. Okay, so the next tip I have is to use preset loops. This is something I still use a lot to this day. And you'll see a lot of DJs on Serato or Rekordbox have a ton of preset loops. So for example, in here in Rekordbox, if I was trying to set up a preset loop, I could go to my export mode. And then we'll just drop this track in here, for example. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. And let's say I just want to loop this section and keep it as a consistent loop. I would turn on the loop, set how long I want it to be, hit the memory button. And then you'll see up here, you get a little cue loop. You then click this little orange button, make it red, and then that makes it an active loop. So when we go into the performance mode now, or if you export your USB, this will come onto your USB as well. So drop that in there. And then I'm going to play it, and you're going to see the loop activate as soon as it hits that section. Super useful, especially if you have a certain transition you'd like to do into a certain song, or if there's this acapella loop that you really like. You can make a bunch of these on tracks. Just make sure if you're trying to get out of it, you're holding your exit button, or if you're on Serato, make sure you disable the loop, because otherwise it's just going to keep going over and over and over again. Another thing I use looping for is stalling or emceeing. So it's better sometimes to have something than nothing in terms of audio. So what I'll do sometimes when I'm DJing or emceeing, if there's something I need to say, I'll still have an instrumental loop going, but I'll still be talking on the mic. So I'll actually use one of these loops as an example here. All right, so I got a loop set up here. So let's say this is the song that maybe people are walking out to, or there's some sort of special announcement that needs to be made. So I'm gonna loop this. I'm gonna cut the high and the mid, and then that'll give room for my voice to come through, but you'll still feel like a kick or some sort of low end that's there. Okay, so blah bitty blah bitty blah. Make some noise for "Oh my gosh, we love you." Everyone's standing up cheering, but it still gives that little bit of movement to whatever you're doing. I typically use this if I'm still DJing and I need to make an announcement. So if I'm in the middle of a set and I gotta say, hey, last call for alcohol, whatever, blah, blah, all that jazz. Or if you're doing bottle service clubs or whatever and you're hyping something up, you can use the filter, or you can use your EQ knobs as a way to still have that groove while talking on the mic. Now, another thing you can use loops for is to enhance a sound or add to a track that's already playing. This is done typically more in a tech house, dance music kind of style. I see it a little bit more, but it's still prevalent in any sort of genre. If you want to do more of a redrum sound, add some more hats to something. That's the example I'm going to show you right now. What the track I'm going to play has a lot of low end to it, and there's no hi-hats at the start. But let's say I'm DJing and I want to have a little bit of a groove. I'm going to add a hi-hat loop over top of it just to add something more to the sound. So that's without. There's nothing on it. All right, then we're going to throw this loop over top of it here. So it just adds a little bit more of a groove. That's a technique you can use if you're dealing with a lot of hip hop now, has a lot of low end to it, not a lot of high end. If you want to add a little something, maybe you have a couple like trap hat loops in your crate, you can use that as a way too, like some 70 to 80 BPM loops. You can use those a lot, and that'll add some more groove to what you're looking for. All right, and the last thing that I use loops for, which is my personal favorite, I picked it up from DJ Conflict, is the looping and chopping of a section. So here I have a 1x64 loop, so it's gonna sound just robotic, but typically I'll usually find a long part where the vocal is holding a tone. So like, and it's holding that for, let's say, 2 to 4 bars, right? Or 2 to 4 counts. So what I would do is I would loop it maybe by like 1 count there, just to have a little loop. From there, you can use a crossfader to pretty much chop in any pattern you want. And then you can just put another song over top of that is with that pattern, and then you've created a flawless transition that people are gonna think is amazing. So now that I have the loop, I would then hit the Q button for the track that's coming in and then chop it up with a similar pattern. Now, it would be very different if I actually had my hand on a crossfader, so that wasn't as fast or as clean as I would like to, but you get the idea, is that you're using loops and then using the crossfader, or any fader for that example, to help you transition from one track to the next. All right, everyone, that does it for today's video. Hopefully you learned something new. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We're on a good pace right now. We're doing about 2 videos a week. So let me know if there's any other videos you want to see me do, anyone you want me to try to interview or talk to. I mean, shoot, I'll hit up Kanye West if you need me to, just let me know. I'll try to reach out to the guy. But until the next video, take it easy. Tell someone you love them, and I'll be back soon.